Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. About get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix. So get ready, cause we about to get it poppin'. And we ain't stopping. Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogue.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
I'm the Gregolicious.
And today we have the very funny Chrissie Mayr on here. What's up, Chrissie? How are you?
Hi guys. Hi Nick and Greg. Thanks for having me. This is really thrilling to be on the Mangina pod. Wait, Mangina monologues or Mangina podcasts?
Dialogues.
Dialogues? All right. Neither.
So the best part of that for me was watching you like do your hair in the camera while our ridiculous theme song's playing.
Oh yeah.
That was fun. That was fun.
You know, you got it. These video podcasts are the only reason I put on makeup and put shirts on anymore.
Same.
Yeah. A lot of foundation for Greg. A lot of foundation.
Where are you guys located right now?
Connecticut, like lower Connecticut, Fairfield County.
Oh, lower Connecticut. I went to school in Fairfield. Is that lower Connecticut?
That's where Greg lives.
Wow.
Yep. Big up to Fairfield.
Were you a stag as well?
No, not only by profession.
You worked there?
No.
Oh,
It was a bad stag joke.
You're talking about your sexual prowess.
Right.
Got it.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Although no one ever paid me. So
Wait, so you went to Fairfield U?
Yeah.
Did you used to go to the Sea Grape?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a super duper bar person because I was a diver, but like, yeah, when I would go out, I'd go there, junior, senior year.
Nice.
Yeah, man, it's super cool. I know. Then you go back after you graduate. You're like, wow, there's nothing all that special about this bar.
Well, you know what's special about it? Nick and I started a comedy show there. There's an open mic back last spring.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went well for like what, Nick? Like 2-3 months. Like it was going really well.
It was an open mic. It was an open mic.
It was an open mic.
We made it more of a show.
Yeah.
Greg was the DJ when like everyone had an entrance song.
What's with the face?
We tried to make it fun. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you. Well, you made a face. A DJ.
That's a DJ. He's a DJ. He just, hit on an iPod, just hit play.
Yeah,
like
whatever. Whatever. Dick thing to say.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, no, and actually, me and Nick sort of stopped going, but it still runs up until all this shit happened. So
I lived in senior year. I lived in a house like right down. I guess it was Beach Road. It's the road that's like on the other side. It was actually called because all the houses have nicknames that the students live in, and mine was called the Crack House. Not because of drug use, but because there was like a passageway through the middle of these like two conjoined houses, whatever. So that was like the crack.
Was it? It was on the not Fairfield Beach Road, the other side. Like if you went to the Sea Grape, you made a right.
Yeah, like if you're standing in front of the Sea Grape, you'd make a right and then go down that road.
Yeah.
So Chrissie, where are you at now? Where are you doing this from?
I'm coming to you hot and live from White Plains, baby.
Hey, I'm from Mamaroneck originally.
Oh wow! Yeah, I love your avenue. It's a good avenue.
It is, right?
That's all that's good in Mamaroneck. They got an avenue.
Shut up.
It's still very confusing to me, even though I've lived here for like 3 years. Like I don't know where the towns are still. I don't look at maps. Like I just know the city of White Plains. And that's mostly basically because from playing Pokemon Go, that's where I learned where stuff is.
Oh my God.
Bad.
Did you ever Pokemon Go to that like big Asian supermarket down by I don't know what the hell's over there, but there's a big Asian like supermarket.
Is it called
Big Asian supermarket?
H Mart?
I don't know. I have no idea what it's called, but I've gone there a few times.
Oh, are you talking about Mandarin?
No, I have no idea. It's just this huge Asian supermarket, and I remember walking through one of the aisles looking just to like buy some shit, and they had testicles, like big, like you would buy like a pork chop, but there was like a package of testicles.
Nice.
Wow.
And they had the part that comes with the testicles.
Human testicles?
I don't know. I was afraid of getting a virus.
Yeah.
Well, too late.
By touching it. It was one of the more interesting supermarkets I've been to.
I guess if they were super small, then they were like, yeah, Asian human testicles.
Or someone that abused steroids.
Oh God. Yeah. Wow, they got a lot of rare treats over there at the Asian supermarket. Steroid testicles.
It's a delicate.
But you're right. Like Asian people are always like looking to eat weird shit that's gonna increase their manhood, like shark blood and shit like that, and I don't know, tiger meat.
It is true. I've been to China, and I was telling Nick the other day about one of these restaurants that I went to that was like a 5-story restaurant, and the bottom floor was an aquarium. I'm not even.
Whoa.
It was like an aquarium, so everything was in a fish tank, and you would just see every fish you could imagine. Half of them looked like they were, like dinosaurs, but then they had buckets laying on the floor that were full of like cockroaches and scorpions and every fucking thing you can imagine living. And people would take a scoop of it and be like, I want this. This is what I'm going to eat for dinner.
Wow. So a wet market.
Not truly a wet market, but there were
it was at least damp,
It was damp. It was damp. It was actually damp and disgusting.
A moist market. Yeah, how sad if that's your like life as a fish or a shark or whatever. You're like, yeah, I live in a Chinese 5-story building and I don't even get any windows.
And then someone picks me and they cook me.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Chrissy, what have you been doing to stay busy during all this now that there's no shows?
I've been, like I said, playing a lot of Pokemon Go. I just reached level 28. A little embarrassed about it, but like you stay on top of the news. They have different like community days and or days where there's like certain critters running around. I've gotten into birds. I'm really turning into an old lady. Like I have a bird feeder that's stuck to the outside of my kitchen window, and I've had 2 different kinds of bird food in each of them, and then I observe which birds eat at which section, and I have these like suet cakes, which is basically lard with seeds stuck into it, and then it's in a little cage, and then you hang that up. That has gotten 0 customers so far. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know.
I'd eat it. I would eat it.
I'll put out some water, and it's like I'm in an apartment. If I had like a backyard, I would have like a fucking bird fountain. I'd have like an amusement park going, but I'm sort of limited here. But it's still exciting. It brings me joy. And I've also gotten into watching a lot of conspiracy theory videos and following the QAnon movement. There's a couple of really interesting video series on YouTube that I recommend you guys watch if you're at all intellectually curious and wondering about like the bigger picture of things. The first one is called Fall Cabal, Cabal. It's a 10-part series on YouTube. Each episode is like, I don't know, between 20 and 30 minutes. And I think it kind of mostly outlines like the deep state and how like this goes back hundreds of years, like the elite, the people in power, the sort of globalists all over the world sort of have formed like an alliance, and learning about like Hollywood, the crazy, like the pedo rings. It sort of links together all the things that we know for sure to be true, like Epstein, his islands, his whole flight list, all the people that have like proven to visit him over the years multiple times. Like Bill Clinton went there like 30 something times. That guy Prince Andrew like went and met with Epstein after he was already like a convicted pedo. And I think he's the next one that's probably about to come out if he hasn't already. I think the Globe, which is like the UK National Enquirer, may have already run a story about him. And I don't know, I kind of stay in the kind of academic, like learning side of it, because when I really stop and think about what's going on, it's like, it's fucking disgusting. But I'm just like, I kind of like it because it's mysterious, it's hidden from the public. And the series also links how the media is linked up with the CIA and Hollywood and like the entertainment that we're getting. It's all kind of, it's for a reason, you know, like the people in power want to keep us distracted and currently obviously against the current president. I don't even think I'm explaining this well, but it's really mind blowing to like learn about all these, like the connections we know about, and then you get more connections that you didn't previously know about. And, just basically like what's going on in Hollywood, like, you know, Spielberg and like all these big names. Tom Hanks supposedly is one, you know, huge pedo that they're kind of keeping after. And then if you look deeper into these videos, like they analyze his whole recent SNL appearance and they break down like how possibly they were using like green screens or a fake face, and they're analyzing his hands. They're like, his hands look like a 40-year-old guy, not like a 60, 70-year-old guy. And it's like fascinating shit. And then
do you believe it, or do you just think it's fascinating?
I believe a lot of it. I think for sure that the mass media is not giving us the truth on lots of shit, because there a lot of times you'll see they have the same script. Like there's a couple videos out there where they were able to edit together like 10 different channels saying the exact same sentence in like a short period of time, which leads you to believe that like they're getting a script to read.
But don't you think that if that was true, right? Let me just put the other side for a second. Like if that was true, don't you think that the smart money is give everybody a different script so it's not so obvious that 10 people are reading the same script?
That would be smart, but like I think they kind of leave it to the journalists to put their own spin on it, and it's just easier not to. So a lot of them end up just saying the exact same thing. That is something you can sort of stand up and take notice about. And there's another really great, I think it's just maybe 1 hour long. It's called Out of Shadows, and that was released maybe a week or two ago. And that already is up to over 8 million views. But it's interesting because, like, you know, Google Analytics, they're kind of hiding it. You have to know exactly what to search for. It's fucking mind blowing. It almost feels like too much to even begin to explain, because I was on another podcast and I just mentioned like deep state and QAnon and conspiracy, and immediately he's like, oh, it's all, this guy was like, oh, his name's Chris Laker. He was like, it's all bullshit. He wouldn't even listen. And I was like, wow, you know, like I just think it's important to have an open mind, because if you're so narrow-minded that if someone even says something that's a little bit outside of it and you shut down, I don't think that's a good place to be in. You know, like I'll listen to anybody no matter what, you know, end of the spectrum or left or right that they are. I just think it's important to like think about these things, because you know, it feels, it's a lot of them, it's really kind of disappointing and gross, like the fact that there's crazy pedo rings going on, and a lot of them are linked to like satanic cults, and then they show you the proof of it. And part of the whole ritual thing is like the celebrities, they have to be open about it, and they have to tell you. It's like, I guess it's part of the deal, you know, they have to be open about it, and that way they can continue doing what they're doing. So they show you examples of you know, a lot of celebrities covering their eye and different, like whether it's their album cover or any press that they do or this, and like Jim Carrey goes online and it's like, oh, the more you learn about how many names there are and how many celebrities that we all know and love are linked to this, it's like shocking, and you're like, I can't get enough. And if you follow, QAnon, God, like the Great Awakening, there's a lot of like hot, you know, hashtags that are like, they quote lead you down the rabbit hole of finding out more and more information.
I mean,
I see Greg's name on there at all?
Probably somewhere. I you know, definitely there's something fucked with the Epstein stuff. I haven't spent 4 minutes looking into it, but it just seems logical that there's a lot of bad shit there. Did you ever see the movie Wag the Dog?
No, and like you're like the third person to recommend that to me recently.
You should watch. I mean, if you're into all this shit, you should watch it. It's you know, it's a comedy movie, really, but it basically is that. It's like a big conspiracy theory where the world is a movie that the government's putting out.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's like pretty similar. And the CIA are the people who invented the phrase conspiracy theory, like specifically at a time when people were questioning JFK's death. So that's interesting.
It's wild. Some people even say the CIA had a part in it, in his death. They worked with the mafia to get him out because he wanted to get rid of the CIA. Something.
Yeah,
like
I believe it. Yeah, I would believe it. I think all this stuff is possible, you know. I don't think you should ever just take any one person's word for it. I think it, because it didn't, I was like, I don't know. It took me doing a lot of my own research and spending hours and watching a lot of stuff. And then also watching stuff on the other end, like watching a lot of the mainstream media and going, oh, wow, like, why are they all so, like, very much against Trump when he has, like, more or less been similar to any other president we've had? You know what I mean? Like, there's no perfect president. There's always going to be someone who's kind of a creep, who's kind of a womanizer, who's whatever. But it's like, why are they hating on him so much more than any other president in the last, like, since the 80s or whatever? And it's like, it's because he's trying to take down a lot of the deep state and, like, the corruption. Like, anytime he says drain the swamp, anytime he says, like, fake news, it's like we've been hearing him say these phrases for 4 years now, but when you actually look into why, you're like, oh, holy shit, he's you know, he's a dirtbag in a lot of ways, but he's also right about a lot of things.
I think also it's different times now. Like, you know, you see people go after the president more now than ever, and people are more divided now than ever. There is no, like you said, there's not a lot of people out there that will listen to anyone else's opinion if it doesn't align with theirs. More so now than ever. Even when Reagan was in office, and Reagan was, I wasn't alive, but apparently he was the man to everyone I talked to in the 80s that liked him. He did really well, worked well bipartisanly. But now it's not like that. It's you're on this side or you're on this side. And that's There's no, I think there's a few things that go into that.
And I would not say that is all Trump's fault. Like, I'm not a Trump fan. I didn't vote for him, but I would attribute that way more to the mainstream media, because they fuel the sort of like identity politics and the us versus them. And like, I feel like they've created more drama and made things seem worse than they are. Like, I think that the mainstream media makes racism seem bigger and badder and worse than it actually is. And I know that coming from a white person, to a lot of people, they would immediately dismiss my opinion on that, because what do I know? What do I know about racism other than, like, you know, day in, day out for the last 8 years, people saying white people aren't shit. But, like, other than that, I think, like, the average person would be like, I'm not going to listen to a white person's opinion on racism. But I think that the mainstream media makes it way worse.
What do you consider mainstream media, though?
If you look at who is
this
owned
podcast.
by who, which is basically this podcast, CNN, MSNBC, NBC. I mean, even you could.
So wait, can I jump in? Let me ask you a question. Why is Fox News and OEN not mainstream media, and
OEN?
CNN and it's the new cable network, new cable news channel thing, but. Just forget it. Well, Fox News. Why are they not mainstream media, but CNN, MSNBC are mainstream media?
I think I would possibly consider Fox to be mainstream media. I would say if you like any like news corporation that's owned by somebody bigger, like owned by, you know, GE, or if you just like, I would say anybody who's not. I think the smaller the better, pretty much in terms of that.
Right, but CNN, MSNBC. Fox News, CNN's more in the middle, MSNBC is clearly left, Fox News is clearly right? But when people talk about the mainstream media bashing Trump, they're not talking about anything except for CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, regular news, but they don't include Fox News in mainstream media, which are on the opposite side, saying everything totally opposite of what ever the CNNs and MSNBCs were.
It does seem like Fox is at a bit of a departure between. It feels like there's a whole group on the left, and then there's maybe just like Fox, and then there's like the Young Turks, which is like far left. I wish I had like written them all down in a chart, I guess.
To me, it's just frustrating. Not you, just in general, when people. You know, especially the people on the right talk about the mainstream media, yet Fox News is the number one news network in the world. The number one news network in the world.
Really? I didn't know that.
So if anything is mainstream media, it's that. But anyway.
Now, do you address any of this stuff in your set? Like when you're doing stand-up?
No, this is so recent. Like I've only.
This is quarantine. It's from the quarantine.
It's gonna come out a new woman, man. You're gonna come out completely.
Quarantine-inspired research. I was like, because I have a show on Compound Media, which a lot of people would consider like a righty network, but like I never talk about politics or current events. Like we talk about like love, sex, dating, relationships. So I was like never really super invested or interested in the news, and like I just didn't feel like it kind of got anything going for me. But like since this quarantine and since like following people like Tommy G and Sam Tripoli, I went to LA last month and did his show, Tinfoil Hat. I mean, I feel like I can't even hold a candle to those guys because they know so much more and they're so much better at explaining all these topics and linking them together. I would say if you're at all curious, like check those guys out because they do it. They know more. They've been doing it longer and they can explain it 100 times better than I can. Yeah, they're good. And they kind of explain all sides of it, you know?
Yeah. You mentioned LA. I think you went there with one of our good friends, Caitlin Murphy, right?
Oh shit. Yeah.
I love Caitlin, man.
I love her so much. She's opened for me for like maybe a year or so now on a lot of these road gigs. And yeah, my boyfriend Frank was just like, yeah, why don't you bring Caitlin to LA with you? And I was like, all right, sure. And then I got a little bit of a deal at a hotel that was like right next to the Comedy Store. And she stayed with me for like 5 days. And we did a bunch of shows together. And then she opened for me at the headlining show I did out there, which was in downtown LA, this place called the Moroccan Lounge, which is a really nice, typically like a music venue. But I was able to get a show there, and it was like right when things were starting to really shut down and the coronavirus stuff was starting to blow up. So I think possibly that's why I didn't get like as big of a crowd as I thought, but the show was still great. And then I had this huge tour planned for this spring with LA, March 8th being the first show, and then the last show of the tour being in May in New York, and like every single one of those shows has been canceled except for the first LA one, which is crazy because it was like the first time I had this big of a headlining tour, and it's just kind of funny to see that it gets canceled, and you're like, all right, well, what's next?
It's probably the media trying to shut you down.
Goddamn media.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder, like I retweet and I'm friends with so many porn stars and I retweet conspiracy theory stuff. Like I wonder if I'm ever going to be like shadow banned on Twitter, but no, I don't think I am yet. I know that porn stars are because I'll type in their handles and they won't come up, which I think is a little unfair. But I think of all the social media platforms, Twitter is probably the most generous in terms of, I mean, you can see straight up porn on Twitter. So
yeah,
that's how I met Nick. That's how we met.
That was Grindr, idiot.
Oh, right. Sorry. Grindr vids.
Yeah, I love Caitlin Murphy, and she's so much fun. I've done like shows with her on the road, and like she thinks of me as like her sort of like quirky aunt. Mostly because one time I got really upset with her because she didn't pull over because I really wanted to buy a wind chime from like a roadside craft tent. And then she kept driving. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I really wanted a wind chime.
Well, she owes you a wind chime.
I really am still thinking about it. I still wish we had gotten it. Yeah.
So I want to talk about how you got your start in comedy. You're from the very funny island of Long Island.
Oh, yeah. A lot of good comics come out of Long Island. I think there's something in the water. They did a lot of chemicals testing on Long Island in the 40s. And it's why a lot of us are funny. It's also why a lot of us get cancer and die. So it's really a toss-up. Yeah, ton of breast cancer on Long Island, ton of brain cancer. It's bad. But, there's weirdly a lot of funny people out there. Amy Schumer went to my high school. She was in my sister's grade. Colin Kane, Howard Stern lived a couple towns over. Obviously, we're not the same age.
David Tell. That's incredible.
It's so wacky.
And these other guys, I don't know if you know them, Eddie Murphy and Jerry Seinfeld are from Long Island as well.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know what towns they're from, but yeah, I had a feeling.
I think it's closer. Were you Nassau or Suffolk?
Nassau.
Okay. So you're a little closer to the city. Nice.
Yeah, from Rockville Center. Woo!
Do you miss Long Island at all?
Yes and no, because it reminded me, it reminds me of my mom still being alive. It reminds me of like kind of an easier time of like, yeah, being in high school or coming home from college. And not that I had a ton of friends out there, but like, yeah. And then my sister lived out there for a while and she just moved to Vegas 2 years ago. So if anything, it reminds me of a time when like my family was kind of all together. But it's nice in a way, and everything changes, and it's good to get away. And the type of people who are born and raised in Long Island and never leave, like those are some of the most scary people. Like they're just
funny people.
Insane. Like, but like there's the funny side of it, but then it's like if you have born and raised your whole life Long Islander and they never leave and they're like they don't go to any therapy, then you get Bagel Boss, and then there's like a lot of there's hundreds and thousands of Bagel Boss types on Long Island, and even like full grown, not as angry, just like really like a special kind of dumb and obnoxious. So it's good to get out.
I totally
get,
that.
Go ahead.
I dated a girl that was about Bagel Boss, and it was a fucking nightmare.
She was as tall as Bagel Boss, or she was into him?
No, not into, neither. But like every time I would go out, she lived in Long Island, I lived in the city, and every time I would go out there, it somehow, some way, always resulted in going to Bagel Boss, and then always getting in an argument there.
Yeah, they love to get into arguments. They love fucking drama. They love talking shit about their neighbors. There's like just a lot of cops. If you're not a cop, you're not a teacher, you're not Italian, you're not Catholic. Like there's going to be some sort of bullshit drama. They're just very about their little group and about their neighborhood and like, oh, we gotta go to Malibu, we gotta go get the beach cabana, we gotta go to Long Beach, we gotta like used to going to the same fucking 5 bars their whole life, and their worlds are so small.
You ever been to the Bordy barn?
Oh,
what?
Been to the Bordy barn in Long Island?
Oh yeah, oh god, that was huge. When I was a lifeguard growing up, I loved the fucking Bordy barn. What is that, in the Hamptons?
Yeah, it's out there. I just remember taking a train out there with people. It was wild.
Yeah, I've been out there a couple times. I was out there last Memorial Day weekend with a comic friend of mine, Madison Malloy. And that was so fun. It's crazy. Like we went to this one bar out there. It was super bougie and nice. It's like I only got in because she's like connected and has like this Hampton specific group of friends, but the drinks would be like $20, $25. And I was like, oh, there's no way we're gonna get drunk tonight. And like sure enough, we met an old dude who's just like buying us like it's fucking nothing. Like it's nothing. And we were like, ha ha ha. I was like, you seem like a child trafficker. And he was like, oh, thanks,
Like, my name's Jeffrey Epstein. How are you?
Seriously. It was like, it's a different fucking world. And I used to think like, oh, like that's what you should aspire to be. And it's like, no, those people have all the same problems that the fucking broke people have,
Now, when did you start comedy? Did you start out in Long Island? Did you start after college? When would that happen?
I had a couple like false starts. I think I took a comedy class on Long Island, I think with Judy Carter. It may or may not have been at Governor's. But I was very not serious about it. I may or may have done it with my mom. And then I think I may have taken another class or seminar, like one-time seminar at Gotham in the city, also kind of during college time. And then I went to college, started doing a little improv, interned at Late Night with Conan O'Brien while I was in college to get credit. And then once I graduated, really got deep into improv, did 5 years at UCB and Magnet Theaters, did all the classes, teams, a one-woman show, and then I started stand-up. I finally mustered up the guts to do stand-up because that was just really like a scary thing for me for a while. I just was like, oh. But really, it's way more freeing, and I started doing stand-up because when I was doing improv, there's like, anywhere from 5 to 8 people on your team. Everyone's got to show up on time. You got to pay for a coach. You got to pay for a space to practice in. And then you do your shows, and then fucking 4 people suck that night. And you're like, well, it's just close, You're only as funny as your worst player, right? So stand-up was attractive to me because it's you just need you and $5 to go to a mic, and it's super autonomous, and you can do as much or as little as you want. And it's more of like it's less of a team sport, obviously, than improv, but you can make more like real friends. Improv people are like fucking deranged. They're all former like high school and college theater people. They're like musical theater people in there too, which are like some of the most unstable, deranged people out there, like just truly living in la la land. You have actor types, and stand-up is more like real people, the different, you know, range of ages. People have like learned, like lived a life, fucking maybe killed somebody, maybe had 2 divorces, you know. It's like the salt of the earth people doing stand-up, whereas improv is like, oh, someone's clearly paying for your lifestyle, because there's no way you can make money doing improv. The classes are like $400 a pop, and every 6 weeks you have to buy another one. It's like, and I was only able to do that because I was living at home for like 5 years after college. So it's kind of like, I mean, I love shitting on people who do improv but it did give me kind of a good tool belt that I use for stand up, and it helps you be good on your feet. But like, you can't do it for too long, or you'll kind of, things are going to go south. You don't want to be that 40, 50-year-old guy still doing improv classes, because it's like, there's something a little creepy about that. Like, I still have a buddy from improv who's 50 something now. He still texts me, and it's like, all right, buddy, give it up. We did a thing together, what, 10 years ago? All right, let's all move on. So I'm doing stand-up now for like 10 years, which is crazy, because it just seems like a blink of an eye, you know?
Gotcha.
So to answer your question, 10 years.
There we go. 10 years now. God damn.
I know. It doesn't seem that long. You just start something, you keep doing it, and then poof, it's 10 years later.
Amen. So I saw on some clips of you doing roasts from a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Is that like, I only saw a couple, and one of them, I guess, was like a friend of yours, like the girl, I forgot her name. I mean,
I've done a lot of roasts with a lot of enemies, and I've done a couple with some friends. So like, depending on which roast, it's like I could have been fucking on fire inside, or just like having a lighthearted good time.
So
but
what's better, a friend or a foe?
It's interesting. They both have their pluses and minuses, because if you're going against an enemy and you're losing that roast battle, there's no worse feeling. You're just like, I fucking hate this person, and somehow they're still kicking my ass. But it feels, I guess probably I would say a foe, because that win feels way better than a win of your friend. Because if you win and you're going against a friend and you're like, we had a good time, right? I didn't hurt your feelings, did I? But if you like kick the ass of somebody you don't like, you're like, fuck you, Carolyn. You know, it feels better.
Well, the one that I was referring to was a girl. She was a bigger girl, and almost
Carolyn.
Yes, that's who it was. Yeah. And all your jokes were about her weight. Not all of them, but a bunch of them, right? Yeah. So like after that, I mean, obviously she's a bigger girl, so, you know, whatever. But does that affect your friendship? Does she after that can be like, that was a little deep?
We were never friends. Like, I think there was a time where she and I were in the same-ish comedy circle, maybe going to the same mics before I like sort of leveled myself up a few clicks, I guess, just from like, I guess, making smarter career choices and getting funnier. I think a lot of that stuff, I don't know, it comes from jealousy, you know what I mean? But she's just somebody who, like, we're just fucking natural enemies, you know what I mean? We believe in different things. We're just, you know what I mean? It's a natural enemy. I use that term a lot. It's somebody, like, if you just meet them, you don't like them. You're just, if you think of people in your life that you just don't like and you kind of can't really explain why, like, that's just a natural enemy. Like, if you were out in nature not doing comedy, you're just like, oh, I'm fucking never gonna be friends with this person. I just hate them. And then like deep in your soul, and you're like, I don't know why, but it's true. Yeah, like sometimes in a roast battle, if you attack the same subject too often, you know, at the same time, you can lose points, and sometimes the crowd will get sick of hearing you hitting the same note over and over. Maybe the judges will agree with that. But if the jokes are varied enough and strong enough, you know, perhaps it doesn't matter.
Right. No, I was just curious because I was dying laughing, and I'm like, they have to be some level of friendly, because one, you didn't look at her at all when you delivered those jokes, like about her thighs,
and I'm like, hated her.
no, but I'm like, that means she's got to be friends with her. She's been delivering these vicious lines, and she's
also,
like,
it's a little scary. Roast battles are a little scary, especially that one you're talking about. It was at the stand, which feels kind of high stakes. And that was years ago. So I felt like, wow, I got to like prove myself to everybody in the room and the judges. And like, luckily on some of the, you know, with some of the jokes, you never know what's going to hit. Something you might really like and it fucking bombs. But the most simple thing gets an applause break. So you never really know. And, you know, usually you have a couple friends help you write, and then you're left, you just got to write way more than you think you need. Like maybe you need 16 strong ones, so you try to write 30, and then it's the most stressful thing before the roast, and you're like still down to the wire figuring out which ones you're actually going to say, and it's really stressful, and you spend like weeks writing these jokes, and as soon as it's done, you probably can't use those jokes ever again unless you happen to roast battle another like fat, gross feminist, you know. But what are the odds that's gonna happen?
well, I apologize for assuming you guys were friends.
That's good. You know, I mean, cordial. If I saw her, I'd be like, "What's up?"
You don't have to explain it to me. It's all good. It made me laugh.
So it depends. Like some people I'm okay with, and then I see them shit on me on social media, or they'll like be on, you know, on somebody else's. Like if I have a conflict or a social media bullshit fight with somebody, and I see that person's on their side, then I kind of make a mental note, like they're on the blacklist now. You know, there's regular dislike, and then there's like the fuck you forever pile.
Right.
Do I sound like a vengeful person?
No, this is perfect.
Great. So what's up with your I listened to a little bit of your podcast this morning, The Wet Spot, or is that on Compound Media?
Yeah. It's on Compound Media. We'll occasionally put like a full episode on YouTube or just clips. And I try to like, I have a good helper helping me with my clips. My boyfriend will cut up clips and help me post stuff. It's been really good. I think we'll be hitting a year in July of doing the show, and I was really lucky to get picked up. They just kind of saw a need for a female hosted sort of fluffy topic kind of show, and I think it's helped me a lot. Like I've made a lot of contacts and friends with porn stars. I went to the EN Awards in January and did interviews there. So I think it's helping me build my brand, but also we're delivering like funny, good shows, which is the most important thing. And since the quarantine, we've been doing special themed episodes. Like last night was the relationship themed show. Before the Monday before that was like the single themed show. I think next Monday we're going to do like kinks and extremes. So what we've been doing for these shows is we'll send out like 6 questions to a bunch of people, have them record videos, they'll send it back. We'll sort of edit them into clips, play them, and then me and my sidekick, Mike Figs, will comment on them. And that's how we've been able to do these shows from home. We'll Skype into Compound, and then they'll play the videos. And we've been making it work. You know, like Anthony's got a whole, you know, Compound Media studio set up in his house in Roslyn. So, you know, we don't all have that, of course, but I think we're doing a good job at like continuing to make content and keeping the fans happy. So it feels good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anything else? So Chrissie, we're going to wrap up in a second here, but
no.
Well, I want to say like, what's on the horizon for you? I know obviously we're all anxiously awaiting when we actually get to go on stage again. So you just podcasting now, is there anything else?
I may have forgotten my whole fucking
set. I am excited and also very nervous for the first time I get back on stage.
I'm excited because I can't wait to watch it going down a fucking speedy mountain.
I'm already like, oh God, I probably should write some quarantine material. I haven't done that at all yet. I've been meaning to read 5 books. I've been meaning to like make my own bread. You know, like I feel like once quarantine is over, I'm really gonna miss it. I'm really gonna be like, hey, remember when we did shit for a month and it was great?
It's like summer. It's like when it's so fucking hot in summer, you're like, I fucking can't wait till winter. And then you get to winter and you're like, I wish it was summer again.
Yeah. I only like winter if I'm snowboarding, like if I'm doing something fun. But what's next for me? Probably gonna try to reschedule all of my spring tour shows that got canceled, in exciting locations like Ohio and Lancaster, PA. I gotta go see those people. So that would be really nice to do. I think maybe a trip to Miami, another trip to LA, maybe try to do plan more like wet spot live shows in a couple of different cities. I think that's probably the next move because I did get somebody who was interested in helping me produce that. So yeah, I'm gonna continue.
And you have a great voice, apparently. That was good.
Oh yeah, for singing, it's just I don't really. It's more like for shower singing. Yeah. I'm going to continue my home workouts. I have little weights and bands.
Adorable.
Yeah, I think I might, what I sort of started to do more of in the quarantine was like little clips, little videos. I built up my YouTube channel. So I would like to maintain all the good new habits I made and then, continue to bring back the stand-up. But I hope people want to come to shows. I hope it doesn't take people a long, long time to want to be in crowds again. And it's tricky because the clubs, they just want to, make money and do a good business. So it's like everyone's kind of tiptoeing around each other. And I feel like going back to conspiracy theories, the people in power are I feel like a lot of people are overreacting on the shit being closed down. So it's taking a lot longer than it should to reopen. But we'll see.
It's going to be an interesting time coming back from all this. But Chrissie, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thanks for having me. Wait, what are you guys going to do now?
I'm going to take a bath.
Right now, I'm going to eat.
I love that.
Right now, I'm going to eat, and then we have to do another podcast in an hour. So.
Wow.
Then I'm going to go for a walk. Then I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat again.
Walks are good. Yeah.
I think she meant in the future. I don't think she meant right this second.
Yeah, but you can tell me what you're
I can't think that far. I mean, I'm, waiting for work to reopen and get back on stage and just get back.
So we also run a club out here in Connecticut that we started in October. So we, like every other person that has a club, we're waiting till we get word that we can open and start doing shows again.
Yeah.
That's actually, Caitlin's done a bunch of shows with us, so we should talk to you about doing shows too at some point.
Oh, cool.
And also we have some live shows that we were going to have.
Yeah.
Might still have, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're doing some live shows at Eastville and Stand Up New York. So
cool.
we can get those back on. And Stand Up New York is still technically on for June, but who the heck knows what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So similar stuff. We're taking our, podcast out on the road, so to speak. And
good.
Whenever we can get back on the road and doing things.
Yeah, it's I think as long as we keep posting and putting ourselves out there and making clips, it's that stay in the public eye or your fans' mind so that when things are normal again and they go, oh, okay, yeah, remember this guy that wouldn't shut up for a month? Let's go see him,
Yeah, it's just all about keeping it out there.
Keeping it out there.
Pulling it out.
This was awesome. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you. You guys were great.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.
Bye, Nick and Greg.
Bye.